life of Jesus and you look at the way he moved through the world, and I actually am distilling this from something somebody said at yesterday's panel, he always found himself on the side of the marginalized. And the professional religious people described him as the friend of sinners, because where Samaritans were, and there were all sorts of religious problems with the quote-unquote the Samaritans, Jesus was with them. When the drunkards were, and there are all sorts of problems with the drunkards, Jesus was drinking with them. So, and that was just a pattern that kept showing up in his life, but he was also a rabbi, a religious instructor. So the other religious teachers were like, are you really one of us if you are so deeply embedded in the community of those sinners over there? And he said to them, those sinners over there are actually more righteous than you are. They're getting to heaven ahead of you. Which in a sense says that you have to be one of the deviants, you have to be one of those quote-unquote sinful people to know what righteousness is, to know what justice is, because it's really, and this is something I have a problem with churches. We don't find sex workers in churches. There were sex workers everywhere Jesus went. You don't know how deeply unjust the world is until you speak to people who put their bodies on the line at the coalface of our world's biggest, the commodification of human bodies. They live, they know more about justice and injustice than those of us who haven't been in those professions. And the same goes with, we were talking about pirates yesterday. Pirates were the outlaws who actually understood democracy. And what made them outlaws is they didn't believe in kings. They didn't believe in the hierarchy that existed at the time. They were multi-ethnic, multinational, kind of like the church was when it began. People who had been rejected by their societies came together, formed societies that were a lot more egalitarian, a lot more democratic, but they had to steal to survive, and in many ways, they are more righteous than most of Christendom today. So I think you have to be the outlaw of any age and any era to really know the reasons that this world is a deeply flawed one, and that's part of what inspired the book title.
You know, the problem I have with progressive Christianity is the confusion that they have around one wanting to obey, honor whatever is written in the Bible that is pretentiously told to them was sent by God that they serve, and also trying to juxtapose that with the reality of the cruelty of the God that they believe in. And so you find them in a situation like this, like, okay, oh my God, because you can't really position yourself and accept the fact that, you know, if the Bible says, before I formed thee, I knew thee, right?
That's in Psalms, yes.
Is it in the Psalms? Yes. Okay. Well, yeah, it's in the Bible somewhere. Now,
one of them.
Exactly. So this is the point. God, because we're talking, can we swear?
I think we can.
We're already there.
Okay, so God knows that this world is going to be fucked anyway. God knows that men are going to set the rules anyway. God knows that the people He has given the 10 Commandments to are going to be homophobic, racist, xenophobic, are going to be every phobic. But He still created them anyway, gave them the will to be like that, and eventually He promises that He's going to punish them for exercising their will to do whatever opportunity He has given them to do. And then so I will always sit down and say, make it make sense to me. I think you can only, no, this is not a question to me, I'm just saying this, you can only be a Christian if you are high. And you have to be high 365 days or whatever it is. The same weight down the road that we want to share with. Because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't really make sense. This whole idea of a benevolent, of a caring God that sat back and saw 400 years of enslavement of people that He said He created in His own image, but were enslaved through His own name, it doesn't make sense. Because also in the Bible, there is a justification for the enslavement of people that have darker skin, because God approved of it, right? In the Bible, God says women should not speak where men are, and then you wonder why men, because of their proximity to pennies or pennies, is it pennies or pennies or whatever it is, feel that automatically they have a right and a control over whatever it is, but there is also a justification justification for the existence of the power of men over women. God made Adam and Eve. He had a choice to make Adam and Eve, Steve and Kennedy, Rita and Rita Ora. But he chose not to. He chose not to. He is God. He saw the end from the beginning. Right? You know, so when people talk about God and his existence, I say, and there was one thing we learned in my first year in university. We were all gathered together, and my professor said, God did not create man in his own image. That is a lie that we've been told. Men created God in their own image. They gave him their personality, but not just that. They gave God their love and their hate. And the day I knew that, I found peace within myself. That when somebody comes to me and says, God hates you because you're gay, I say, thank you very much, because ye are gods. Just tell me you hate me. Don't assign your responsibility to someone else. And you know, we can look at the story of South Africa and the importance of apartheid that is rooted in the honest sense of God. But it's okay to be religious.